Well, hi, and I want to give a warm welcome today to Abdullah and Sari. I am so excited to have you on the show to share your unique mission in the world. So, welcome.
Well, thank you. That's really my pleasure. And usually my brothers would be here, but right now they're at school, so I'll be, taking care of what they would usually be saying. But I know they really are sad to be missing out.
Oh, well,
So
I'm
they,
glad you're going to be speaking through the group. So my first question that is just burning is that, I mean, this is extremely unique for teenagers to be thinking about healthy eating and mindset. So what got all of you guys and your brothers started?
so it was about 6 years ago, and it was COVID, and so our mom was like, you guys aren't doing anything, so we might as well start a podcast. Because so she was like, oh yeah, I know, and because we were also complaining, we're like, oh yeah, no, these people are sick, these people are sick, because it was COVID, so everybody was working, like worrying about their health. And so my mom was like, you know what? Instead of just being like, oh, this is just happening, why don't we do something about it? Why don't we educate ourselves? And from there, it turned into then a podcast. Now, 200 plus episodes later, us and over 200 plus experts that now we were able to benefit from ourselves in learning the expert back tips, and our community as well was able to benefit because it's just that kids, teens, adults, nobody's educated on health in lifestyle.
Right. They don't teach it in school, which is crazy. They don't teach you about your body, how to take care of it, how to feed yourself. So how has this changed your life just personally, just you, like health-wise and how you look at things?
Just it's basically changed everything because before I used to remember, oh, if we didn't know something or there used to be like someone was dealing with a certain health condition, we're like, oh, that's just how it is. But now we've talked to so many people, and now there's hope. And me and also my brothers as well, we also dealt with health conditions. I, had terrible like headaches all the time. Basically, I had like dizziness. I couldn't even walk straight for certain periods of time. And conventional medicine
Wow.
didn't help me. And so once we started to get to lifestyle, into actually, focusing on what we're putting into our bodies, what we're visually consuming, my sleep, stress, the whole everything, I was able to actually heal, and I no longer deal with any of those stuff. And so it's been like, I mean, I'm so grateful for what's happened in the past few years, and it's really helped. And I want more kids and teens to be able to experience that because we go to school. This is my classmates, my teens, my classmates, my peers, my friends that are dealing with eczema, anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts. They're dealing with they're like ADHD, and the list goes on and on and on. And we go to school and we see them dealing with this, and they think that there's no hope, and they think that they can never get better, and we want to give
Yes.
them that hope because there is hope, and that's the message we're trying to get out.
I love this. It's like emotional, and to me, the word that comes to my mind is empowerment. And teenagers, they do not want to leave control, but they don't realize that there is an option. So you guys have gone beyond the podcast, and now you have a book that is out. It's out now, right?
Yes,
I
yes,
got a
this is the
copy
one.
of it. I have a copy of it. The Teen Health Revolution, and I'm gonna. I mean, this is just amazing. And then you have an acronym to try to kind of help explain about people can educate themselves. So, so what do you think the biggest block is for teenagers? Taking care of themselves.
First of all, teenagers, we don't want to be sick. Like, we want to be healthy, we want to be in our adulthood, we don't want to have to deal with the chronic disease, we don't have to deal with sinus issues all the time, or eczema, or ton, like, all the list can go on and on and on, but we don't want to deal with any of this stuff. And that's why when adults, I remember adults were like, oh, the kids, they're living such bad lifestyles, they want to do this, they want to do that. We don't. We want to live good lifestyles. I know it's crazy, but like, we just don't know how. And that's why we realized that teens don't want to listen to, like, I'm gonna be honest, teens don't want to listen to adults. And so we decided, you know what, let's do teens to teens. And that's why we created this book for teens by teens. Because we've been there. We've been, in school dealing with stress, dealing with, this new generation because a lot of adults, they're, I'm not going to say stuck in the other generation, but especially with their teens, especially, we feel like that they don't understand the new problems because with social media, with technology, with ultra processed foods, it's a completely different world out there. And so we wanted to help give teens the resources to navigate the world and to navigate their life and to navigate their health. And so we created this acronym called revolution. And so the revolution acronym is a way that it's a simple way that teens can educate themselves and implement these key principles into their lives. And then they can be inspired with simple, expert-backed lifestyle tips that they can use to improve the mind, body, and soul. Because imagine if where we teens can go if we can finally take back control of our bodies.
Yes. Well, you bring up a good point that I love, that you're not just thinking about like the physical body, but you also really engage with the kids, with the mind. And of course, as you are educated now, you know that there is a tremendous crosstalk, right, between what goes on up here in our minds and then what goes on in our guts and through our entire body. So yeah, maybe you could address just the topic of mindfulness just with kids and what is going on. Because surely, yes, it's the food, but there's so much coming at us right now. There is so much coming at us.
Yeah, and that's why mindfulness is so important because right now, what, three-fourths of adolescents are dealing with depression or anxiety. 1-3 teen girls have previously thought of committing suicide. Like, how are we letting this go on? Why are we not doing something about this? And that's why, one of the ways that when we were interviewing all these top experts, one of the things that we asked them, why is this happening? They said that teens aren't being mindful anymore. We're not being mindful about what we visually consume. We're not being mindful about what we put in our bodies. If we see something we like, we just eat it. Or we just scroll and scroll and scroll for hours upon hours, not actually achieving anything in our life, just without purpose. And
Yes.
so mindfulness is knowing what you're doing when you're doing it. Mindfulness is actually like focusing on the world around you and focusing on what is affecting you and then making the decisions based off that to help improve your life. And so I remember we interviewed one of these experts, and he said that if teens can just get back to being mindful, so we can start to achieve so much, and we can start to fully take control of our lives, and we can just reach our true potential. Because imagine a teen that isn't being controlled by the industry, or a teen that isn't being controlled by what their friends say or the social media or the world around them, instead taking back control for ourselves. And that's why when it
Now
comes
that
to
is great, but I think it's like it's almost by default. So what I always talk about is, which is why it's so wonderful, obviously, your family and everyone's around you, that the number one influence to anyone to be able to live healthy is what? It's your environment. 100%. And so like 100 years ago, arguably, you would be healthy, eating healthy food, exercising outside by accident.
yeah.
And now we live in a very different world. So what suggestions do you have for kids just for step one? I do think it begins with the mind and just being aware and getting out of the matrix, right? But if school, their family, all the stuff is all the stuff that they're giving them is supposed to be okay, and very much that it is hurting them. What power do they have? What can they do?
First of all, just put down the phone. I know it's crazy, but for adults and teens, just put down the phone. because right now social media
Now you're
actually.
talking crazy, man. No.
I know, right? I mean, like, but
What?
mindless scrolling offers like little to no benefit, and when we just go on our phone just because without purpose, then we're just continuing to destroy our brains, and we're continuing to destroy essentially our life. I remember I just got a phone at 16, and I remember,
Good for you.
but I have no social media because I don't need, I know what it does to us. And I remember, my mom, what she told me when I first got my phone, which still sticks to me today, and I'm probably gonna take it to my adulthood. She said, whenever you go on your phone, always go with a purpose.
Mm.
And so that's what I've been doing. So that's what's helped me stay in control of my phone and not let my phone control me. And there's tons and tons of other things you can do with mindfulness. Is sometimes just stop, take a deep breath, and then think, okay, what am I smelling right now? What am I feeling right now? What am I thinking right now? What do I taste right now? Just what am I even seeing right now? Just kind of grounding yourself and then acknowledging what's happening and how you can start to move forward to become better. Like, why, if after like scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, or just like stop, ask yourself, why am I doing this? Is this benefiting me? And what can I be doing better? And
Well, and I think also the question, and you tell me, is uh, like for some reason not being bored. I feel like that drives a lot of this behavior, and the constant scrolling is like every second, like we I feel that kids from a young age with all of the electronics, they don't know how to be in their own mind. It's like the opposite of mindfulness, right? Because we're constantly distracted. But just being bored. What about going in nature? Or what about, like you were talking about COVID, and this to me brings up a huge, huge issue, uh, connecting with people in real life.
I know it
That,
sounds crazy, but
well,
that's
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 kind of
really the
it.
reality. Yeah, I
I
know that.
mean,
Like, oh my bad, you say something. But I remember that now us teens we can't even make eye contact with each other anymore, and it's craziness. Like the fact that when us teens when we're in a room together and instead of talking or doing things more productive, we immediately go to our phone. Whenever we feel uncomfortable, we go to our
yes,
phone.
yes. I've seen a group of teenagers here on the couch, and they're all on their phones. And
Mhm.
there's actually live in the flesh humans. But
But we're choosing our phones, and that's
how can we reel that back in? Um, how can we reel that back in? I mean, I think being, like you said, aware is would be the first thing,
I
right?
think yes, 100%. And I think the best thing that first of all, I want to talk about the boredom aspect because boredom leads to
Yes.
creativity. How can we come up with new ideas used to come from boredom? And that's how we used to progress in life. That's how, we started to become better humans was because we were bored. And, I remember we are using our mind it's without it using us. And that's why I remember Zan, he loves to draw. Whenever instead of because he doesn't have a phone, so now he draws. He's very creative.
That's
He's like
amazing.
he has so many other passions instead of just scrolling whenever he's bored. And all of us, we've seen the benefit compared to our peers. And now we love making new recipes. And I'm sorry, 13-year-old brother, he loves going to Rubik's cube, learning magic tricks. And a world full of free of addictions can help us basically make our dreams come true. And right now it is an addiction. I'm gonna call it out. The phone. We have a phone addiction right now, and
Oh yeah.
that's why we really only use the internet to spread a positive message, with our podcast reels.
I
But
mean,
most of that is managed by our mother because she loves to do that stuff.
well,
But for
you,
other
you you
people,
are lucky, but other people who are addicted, like, what is one tiny step? Like one step they could be like life altering. Just one small habit they could do.
honestly,
Yeah.
I think the best thing that any teen can do when it comes to their phone is in the morning, don't immediately go to your phone.
Mm.
Or keep your phone away from your bed so that when you wake up, you you get up, you go create a routine without your phone. You go outside, you go outside, you take a deep breath, you get some sunshine in your eyes, you do what you need to do before you go on your phone. Because right now, as soon as us teens we wake up, we go straight to our phone, and then it just messes up our entire day.
Right. Which which also brings me to the other idea of teenagers appreciating the things that they do have and feeling like they have a sense of purpose in the world. Like, what is because when you are on the phone, obviously you're passive, like watching like endless amounts of TV. It's the same thing. You're just you're not giving anything, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I also want to bring it back to, I think another amazing tip that I use personally is to always go on the phone with a purpose. So before you go on the phone, why am I even going on the phone? And I think once we are able to instill that, then we can focus on, developing like a more positive attitude. And once we're able to find, time, because right now, the reason why us teens, we have a lack of purpose. There's right now a lack of, like, there's a crisis where more teens than ever before have no clue what they want to do with their lives. And it's because instead of, using the time to go and figure out what we want to do with our lives, what our passions are, we are just going on our phones, scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, endless scrolling, mindless scrolling, not focusing on what we're visually consuming, not focusing on what information is being, from this thing, from this dog, to this cat video, to this happening, this part of the world, things that are never going to benefit in our life. And because of that, we are no longer, grateful. We're basically being dictated by other people to think on how we should, on how we should think. And because of that, we're not coming up with our own, why am I here? And I don't know if you've ever, like, after scrolling and scrolling and scrolling for hours upon hours, at 2 a.m., you just stop and like, what did I even accomplish? Like, why did I even do that? Like, and I'm pretty sure nobody feels good after, they scroll and scroll and scroll for hours upon hours.
It's very addicting, but then I want to talk about, because to me it is similar. Like, this is basically junk food for your brain, but then how did this tie in with, also in combination with the current environmental food, the food environment, rather, I should say, that we have, and what is that doing to the brains of the kids and their health?
So, food right now, I mean, us teens, I mean, who doesn't love food? And that's why when it comes to ultra processed foods, it's they've specifically designed it and genetically and chemically engineered it so that we feel like we can't live without their product. And this is then like 32, I mean, ultra processed foods. It's crazy how it's linked to over 32 chronic health conditions. And, despite like physical and physiological signs of our body telling us to, basically screaming at us to stop eating these foods, we just cannot stop because we're also addicted. And the easiest thing, the most practical thing anybody can do that we do, is to just read the ingredients. Before you look at a ultra processed food, just turn it over. See, can I even pronounce this? What kind of chemical is this? And
Yeah, and there's a lot of free apps. And actually, when my kids were young, I gave it to them, and they would go through my cabinet. They're like, "What the hell you buy this for?" And I'm
and
like, "Yes, I'm trying to kill you very slowly. You caught me."
and I remember when we were young, because I've been doing this since I was 7, right? So it's
Yeah,
been
no,
pretty
no,
good.
no. That is amazing, and I want to tell you a quick story because I think maybe you might relate. I had an 8-year-old that came to see me, and the parents brought her, and because she had gained some weight, she was 8 years old, and she was eating the school breakfast, which was orange juice, tater tots, and yes, that's what I'm telling
Yeah.
you. I want to tell you the story, and it was waffles and maple syrup. And of course, at that age, you never want someone to be conscious of their weight. But at the same time, I got in, obviously the healthy food, the protein, whatever. She even at the 8 years old, felt so much better. That was the thing that I think a lot of these kids, and this is what I want you to speak to. I feel like you think your kids have trouble, or you think this is just normal to be fatigued and not functioning right, and it's like it was like she woke up. That's all I can tell you. And of course, she did lose some weight, but really, the biggest thing was that she will never forget this experience now is what to eat for breakfast and lunch because she could feel that she felt better that day. And who doesn't want to feel better?
And actually, from what I've seen, is that kids and teens are actually trying to be more healthy than most adults. And we're actually
Mm.
more health conscious than most adults. We speak to adults and we speak to teens, and actually, we realize that when we speak to a class, and you think that none of them know anything about health, when in reality, they're like, oh yeah, like they relate and they're actually doing stuff that we never could imagine. They're reading labels. I remember my like my brother when he was, I think, like 5 years old. He we saw him. He came downstairs in the morning, and he went straight to the fridge and he grabbed some sauerkraut and he started eating some sauerkraut. And we were like, he's like, why are you doing that? He's like, oh yeah, I didn't feel good, and I wanted to have some sauerkraut because I know that it's gonna help my body. And so nobody told him,
Wow.
oh, have some sauerkraut. No, he just woke up, decided, you know what, I don't, my body doesn't feel good. There's something wrong. Let me do something to fix it. And so parents, us
Well, that's
kids,
what it is. You need to talk to the parents, the kids, because obviously the issue is until kids, are not living in the home anymore, the parents are still in charge of what comes in the house. So that's like a big bump here. So how do you deal with that?
so for parents,
Yes.
education, education, education. Because we wouldn't know any of this if our mom didn't teach us. Because I know we know a lot of parents, they complain to us like, oh yeah, but my child, they need this, they want it, they can't function without this. It's like, do they know that that M&Ms and Red 40 and all these ultra processed ingredients have carcinogens in them that then lead to cancer? Or that this actually is related to poor mental health, poor, physical health, and affecting your entire life essentially, and that it's actually basically killing you and your brain, and that it's in these simple products that you constantly eat. And I remember like I was in school, and all the kids, they went like the school was mentioning how that they were planning on banning like Skittles and M&Ms and tons a lot of these candies, and the entire class, as they probably would, they were like, oh no, you can't do this to us, this is not okay, like they started like almost like saying, oh no,
Protesting.
and the thing is that I turned to my classmate right next to me. I'm like, that wouldn't be that bad. Do you even know what's in this kind of stuff? He's like, no, I just like how it tastes. And I said, did you know that this has like red number 40, yellow number 5 that are then carcinogens that lead to cancer, and that this is actually linked to 32 like chronic health conditions? And he was like, what? If I knew that, I wouldn't eat this. And
Right.
that's the reality, is that we just don't know. And it's up to the parents, because the reason why we don't know is because the parents don't know. And
Well, and also I just interject here for a second. Like when I graduated quite a few years ago, I was naive in thinking that food in a grocery store was there's some governing agency that reviews it and it's safe to eat, and that is the biggest lie. And then I had worked in long-term healthcare, but it's the same in the school system about what foods, like I was telling you about tater tots and all of this, and it's all about the money. So that's what it is. So I think parents, they're just looking for convenience and working hard, and they think it's in the grocery store. It's fine.
we get our
Time
food
to
from.
wake up. Wake up.
Exactly. It's time for, for this revolution to happen, because if we continue to go on like this, remember, our generation. We are the next generation of future lawyers, of future doctors, of future engineers, of future teachers, of future businessmen, of future like even mailmen. We're basically we are the future. And how can we function properly if our brains are not working properly, if our body is not working properly, if we're constantly sick? And that's why we need to start now. And we tell parents, it's not to, we don't need to, we can't wait until we're adults or until, we're more mature. We need to start today. And that's what most parents are missing out. They're like, oh no, they're kids. Let them have fun. Let them do this. Let them do that. But no, this is our lives we're talking about. And please, please educate us and feed us what we need to be, what's natural, and we need to be fed. It's only going to help our body and not hurt us. And please, help teach us mindfulness and help teach us, what we can do to help live a better life.
Yes, when we think about the responsibility of parents, what is the responsibility to make them independent, healthy adults? And you may not know this stat, but there was a article that came out years ago, and basically they analyzed kids getting all of these chronic diseases that used to be just adults, like type 2 diabetes and even early signs of cardiovascular disease. But this is the part that got to me. Even if those kids eat healthier, first of all, they get the conditions way faster than adults do. But even if they eat healthy, they decide they're changing their life, they are going to have these issues. Like, it's much harder to turn it around for the rest of their life, because there's like this prime time, which is the teenager, why this is so huge. And
Yeah, you're
now,
saying.
the one thing we didn't mention, but I think it is important with this too, is physical activity and exercise. So, any thoughts about what's going on there with the lack of gym class and just kids being 100% not playing outside like we used to for various reasons, and sedentary life?
And right before I get to exercise, because it's also a huge part of the puzzle.
Yes.
Parents also, like, I know you mentioned how can teens and parents eat good when parents are then bringing these ultra processed foods into the house. That's why for us, we never worry about ultra processed foods, because everything, we can eat everything in the house. And that's also, parents need to start becoming better role models, because, okay, if you're just telling us eat this, and then we go see, as much as we don't want to admit it, we do still look up to you. We still see what you do, and we still see you as a role model. So if we see you not taking care of your health, you then eating these ultra processed junk, then we're probably going to do the same thing. So I think that's really important for adults to understand, because we hear them, saying, "Oh, but my kid, they want these ultra processed foods. They love it. They are always on their phones. They're always doing this, always doing that." I was like, okay, are you also on your phone? Are you always also just eating these ultra processed foods? Like, yeah, but like I'm older. They need to start doing it first. And I'm like, that's not how this works. You
No,
need to become a better
you're
role
right. There's a great quote basically that, parents complain that kids never listen to them, but they're watching you. They are watching you. How do you handle stress? Are you drinking wine every night? Are you, whatever it is, eating, this junk food or whatever? And there's no question, because adults will come to me and they'll say, "Oh, my entire family was obese." We'll just giving an example, and they say like it's genetic, and I'm like, no.
No.
What you do share genetics with your family, absolutely, of course. However, the biggest thing you share with your family is the environment. And there's
Yes.
lots of studies on that with identical twins, reared separately and all of that, but that is a way, way, way bigger influence. This is setting up these kids for the rest of their life with foods, because I deal with the adults from this who won't eat this, won't eat that. They've never tried fish their entire life or whatever it is. And of course, vegetables.
I've
What's
seen.
your, what's your stance on vegetables? Because that is always a hard one with kids.
Honestly, look, us teens, we're basically told that there's only two kinds of vegetables: broccoli and Brussels sprouts. When in reality, there's so much diversity. Like I know, like obviously, it might just seem disgusting, but there's so many delicious vegetables. There's so many color root. That's why we say eat the rainbow. Not eat the Skittles rainbow, the artificial rainbow, but eat the rainbow of fruits and veggies. And we love trying out different veggies, trying out different fruits. There's yellow fruit, there's yellow veggies, there's orange veggies, there's purple, and they all taste different. Some of them are just like they taste so good. We're like, why do people not tell us these things even exist? And
Well,
so
because their taste buds are numbed out from all of the chemicals and the flavor enhancer. So, I mean, for an example, like we'll give the Dorito taco. It has so much flavor, and so once like your brain is so used to that, it's like they say it's like going to Las Vegas for your mouth. And then you want me to eat, steamed broccoli with some butter and salt on it. What are you, nuts?
that's why I'll be honest. Sometimes we don't have vegetables because, like, come on. But at the end of the day, our mom told us, and she taught us, vegetables are what's gonna help you my gut microbiome. They're gonna, help feed those good guys. And she used to say that, there's good guys and bad guys in your gut, in your stomach, and that when you eat good food like vegetables, it's gonna feed you good guys, and you're gonna feel much better. And when you feed your, stomach bad stuff, then you're feeding the bad guys, which are then gonna only hurt you. So also, she taught us why we're eating vegetables. Most of your parents are like, eat vegetables because it's good for you. And they're like, but why is it good for you? Because I told you it's good for you. Eat it. And so, like, let's be honest. Teens, if you tell us that, we're going to be like, we're going to hate vegetables for the rest of our life. So, making vegetables fun as well, not making them like this. It's not seeing them, making them out as this enemy, but making them fun, doing different things with them, incorporating. I know a way that our mom used to do it, and for people who have picky eaters out there, like, oh, but my son or my daughter will never have a vegetable even if their life depended on it. And what our mom did was we used to have like she used to make a smoothie. And in the smoothie, she used to put tons and tons of like bananas and then acai, but then she'd also sneak in a lot of different like microgreens and almond
Yeah,
powder
your
and
mother
tons.
is your mother's sneaky.
But the thing is that we would drink the smoothie and it's we would never tell because it tastes just like a regular strawberry or and banana or a regular fruit smoothie. When
Right.
she put then we figured out this later, but she used to put liver and mushrooms and all of this stuff and stuff, and
Oh
so
my God.
we would never know, and we would think, oh, this just tastes good, or this is just a smoothie, or but in reality, our bodies were getting so many good nutrients, and it was like it was like something that our bodies basically needed, and it was so beneficial for us. So for those people that are doing that are struggling with their kids not eating vegetables, just putting some microgreens into like a sandwich or like putting them in a smoothie or just sneaking them here and there. Microgreens are amazing. Like
Well,
they're amazing.
well, a couple things I would suggest is that, well, first of all, pair it with something that you already know they like.
Yeah,
You know what
exactly.
I mean? So, so eating it together. But the other thing is, and this is really true, you can develop a taste for almost anything if you are exposed to it. So I would never suggest forcing anyone to eat anything, but ask them to taste it, a small bite, nothing overwhelming, and then you repeat that over time, and eventually, honestly, you can develop a taste. I mean, I don't know, as an adult now, like my taste buds have changed dramatically. And the best advice I got was actually from another dietitian. And it was like, you can never control what your kids are eating. In other words, out of their house. But what is the goal is whatever is in your home, what's available in your home, and they get used to it. And so that's basically, what I did that worked. Because if you make strict rules when they go to a friend's, oh, you can't have whatever, the Fruit Loops or McDonald's, then it is going to be a major, major, like,
Yeah,
blowback, right?
and that's what our mom did with us, and that's why I think what you said is completely true. I mean,
Mhm.
I started this when I was 7. My brother started this when they were 4, and one of them was born into this, and we never feel like we're missing out. And I used to my favorite food used to be, flaming hot Cheetos and Fanta. Like that
Well,
was
why not?
hands down, that was my favorite thing ever. And now I don't see them as food anymore. They're just basically poisonous garbage.
Yeah, it's non-food. I mean, I ate cheese out of a can for those of you who remember thinking anyways, I think you can make it fun is to me. I mean, you tell me what can I think speaking to the parents and where kids if they're like, yeah, I want to do something different. What can they do to get started?
First of all, take it step by step. Because I'll be honest, we did just, one day we're eating this, the second day we're completely natural, completely, organic, non GMO. First we got rid of McDonald's. After a few months, then we just got rid of fast food. Then we got rid of certain ingredients, like we stopped doing, red number 40 in artificial dyes. Then we started doing artificial additives. Then we stopped doing GMOs. Then we stopped, and as we went better, we got better and better and better, and we learned more. And that's why we tell like parents is that if you just completely do a shift right now, your kids are gonna be like, what is going on, and they're gonna try resisting. And so start, finding good substitutions. Like we still have candy. I know it's crazy. We don't live under a rock, but we still have tons of ice cream. We still love our cake. We still love, like we never feel like we're left out. When we go to our friends' party, like you mentioned, like we bring our own food and we know that our food that's gonna also, natural candy and natural, chips that actually, I'm just gonna say, it tastes better than the artificial crap. That,
But you know how you feel afterwards. I mean, I actually wanted you to mention your thoughts on sugar. This is,
yes,
yeah,
sugar.
let's talk about sugar. I want to hear your view of the world.
So sugar, obviously, kids, we love sugar. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. I think kids, adults, and teens, like sugar is almost our favorite thing in the world. And the thing is that we are basically eating more sugar than ever before, as you know. And we need to start also limiting, what kinds of the sugar that we're eating. And that's why for us, we completely don't eat ultra processed sugar, and we limit the amount of even natural sugar we have. But we still have, candy and natural sugar as a treat. So
But
it's not like,
what in your mind, if you were to say to parents and kids, what's wrong with innocent sugar? What is wrong with sugar?
so sugar, like as in like sugar basically is going to then affect the gut microbiome. It's gonna affect, it's gonna lead to more inflammation. It's gonna lead to more chronic disease if you have too much of it. And that's why when most parents are like, oh yeah, no, but my child's fine right now. Well, in 5, 6, 8, 10, 12 years time, that's not going to be the case. And that's why, we need to start retraining, like you mentioned, retraining our taste buds so that we can have more nutrient dense foods instead of just having tons and tons and tons and tons of sugar. And the thing is that it's difficult because sugar is everywhere. I remember we were looking at the back of a ketchup bottle and there was sugar in it.
Everything has sugar because even foods, and I don't know if you probably are aware of this, but I'll share it anyways, that they put sugar in there, not even for your mouth to taste it, but in your gut, the microbiome, it has receptors there that knows sugar's in there and it makes you like it and want to eat more of it. Like think about bread, which is savory, not sweet, but there's sugar in bread, there's sugar in everything. And so yeah, my issue is that sugar has, at least for my generation, has been looked at as like this innocent ingredient, as opposed to being looked at honestly like a bottle of alcohol. I mean,
Yeah.
we know that alcohol is a poison and people still drink it, but it's the view of how we should be looking at sugar in the same way. So I'm not saying not to have it. Like ever, but at least being aware of what you're doing when you are eating it. Like it's not just innocent extra calories you're going to burn off. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's why, when it comes to like sugar and all these things, the fact that they put the sugar in here so that we continue to eat more basically goes to our brain and tells you, have more of this. Like we can't stop having this. And then, add the when we talk about ultra processed foods, add the right amount of sugar, of fat, sodium, carbs, and you have basically this artificially rewarding eating experience that overstimulates your taste buds, and they're designed to never leave us satisfied either, which means we keep coming back and we keep coming back and we keep coming back. I remember my mom told me, like, when we used to go to the restaurants, like, we used to love going to Outback Steakhouse, right? And at Outback Steakhouse, the first thing they do is that they bring bread and they put it on the table.
Of course, makes you hungrier. And then they got that blooming onion thing. That,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's like 2,000 calories or something crazy. I don't know.
It's terrible. And that's why these foods are made to be more addictive. And even, like, I remember when we were doing research for the book, we were looking into ultra processed food industry, and we realized that actually the scientists, they use, something called the bliss point, which they use in the
Yeah.
study of, like, drugs and all that kind of stuff. And the faster it hits your system, basically, the more addictive it is. And so they use that same science, for food and ultra processed food, to make them more addictive, so that to drive people to want more and more and more. And when I tell my friends that, they're like, "Oh, but wouldn't they care about our health? Why would they do this to us?" And I was like, because it's all about money.
It's all about making money. See, I think you can go into the rebellious side of teenagers that they should be angry.
Yes, we should be angry.
And and then going back to the Dorito for a moment, because I think this is so fascinating. When the food industry created flavors, see, you think that people are hungry for food because they want calories, but actually what we really want, right, is nutrients. So the thing is,
Exactly.
when you eat these processed foods that has the flavor, you are getting all the flavor without any of the nutrients, so you left being hungry.
And for any parents, that are talking to the teens, we're being brainwashed right now. I mean, I don't know if you've, through advertising, through them, basically they're using brain scans to study us. They see what kind of foods we eat. Their strategic, branding. I don't know if you've ever heard of the phrase "you can't have just one."
But yeah, it's the only advertisement that I think was honest, to
Like,
be
yeah,
honest.
exactly, and it's true. You can't have just one. They're basically telling it to us straight to our
I
faces.
Right, it's crack. I could never have, that would be my I want to say kryptonite would be like Cape Cod vinegar and salt potato chips. They're not safe around me because I will eat them. Not gonna
And
lie. I mean, I would. I just don't keep them around because, and that's it, getting back to the environment and what kids can do. Because personally, and you can tell me what you feel about this topic, I don't really believe in willpower. I think it's convenient, it's what's there, but I don't have to have willpower to stay away from the chips because they're never anywhere near my face. So I mean, so I feel like what can kids do I'm just imagining their kitchen and setting things up slightly differently. I don't know. What do you think?
So, like you mentioned, the kitchen aspect, like, for first of all, parents, what my mom did was, like I said, we could eat anything in the house. So as teens, we used to love to go to the pantry, grab something, grab a snack, grab this. But she used to make sure that if we did do that, we have nuts in the pantry. We have, natural stuff. There's nothing that we couldn't have. And like you mentioned as well, there's so many different things. Like, most teens don't even realize that there's natural, options out there, that there's good substitutions out there. Instead of Doritos and ultra processed chips, there's Siete chips, which are amazing. I've had my friends line up because they were like, "Oh my god, this is better than actually our chips." There's, for if you're looking at, like, certain candies, then you have, there's something called Giggles, and so many other different options out there. I know, if on our, on our website and on our page, you can definitely go check that out. There's tons and tons and tons. But
I
whenever,
love it. I think
whenever,
making it fun as opposed
exactly,
to like something else. But like literally, they don't realize they lost control. And we need to give them back control. But I do want to go back to another topic,
okay, yes,
which is physical activity. We need to talk
yes,
about that.
yes, we need to
I
get the
just,
exercise.
because to me, all these things are connected, and you are the holistic kid. So we got to talk. We got to make sure we talk about that. And if you want to touch on sleep too,
Yeah,
exercise
we
and
could take both
sleep,
of
that would
those.
be great. Let's do it.
So first of all, I remember we were mentioning before how like you guys, like my mom's generation, they used to love to go outside. Like my mom used to say that we used to go outside and our parents wouldn't even know where we were. They just expected us to
Oh
come
yeah,
back.
we didn't have cell phones. I would play in the dirt, and yeah, of course.
And it's crazy because I remember we were like I heard this one phrase like kids used to the biggest punishment in the world was for a kid to be kept inside. Like the fact that you're grounded. If you're grounded, that was like, oh my god, the worst thing you can do to a kid. Now the worst thing you can do to a kid is to make them go outside. And it's craziness because like you mentioned, like the reason, I mean, what right now, like I mentioned, 3/4 of adolescents are dealing with depression and anxiety. The exercise helps reduces that stress and anxiety, and more kids were just sitting in our like I give this image, we're just sitting in our dark rooms, communicating only with our thumbs for hours upon hours. Not talking to real people. We're not getting up. We're just sitting down playing video games all the time. I remember my brother, he's like fifth grade, and he was like, you know, the kids in the class, they brag about how much time they spend on video games. So one kid is like, I spend 5 hours of my day playing
Oh
video
my
games. I
God.
play six. I don't sleep. I do this, and it's become like a competition to see who can basically spend more time sitting down and just staring at a screen.
Oh my God. And what is this all doing to our brains?
And it's destroying our.
Well, there are people studying this, and it's not pretty. I'm going to say that.
It's it's not good.
It is not pretty, and just how we are functioning in the world. All you have to do is look ahead at 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds that, and whatever.
It's
That is,
terrible.
it is crazy. Where are what are the predictions if we don't do anything? What do you see happening? Like what's going on right now? Like what do you see happening if we do not, which I think we need to, of course, have a real revolution, a rebellion
So
revolution. I'm going to add in the rebellion revolution for
yes,
the teenagers.
we
Okay.
need a rebellion revolution for teenagers, and if we continue to go on this route, ADHD, autism is on the rise. More kids are, we're basically becoming stupider. We're not thinking for ourselves properly. I remember, there's something called BDNF, which is basically like miracle for the brain, miracle growth for the brain, and it stimulates the brain to grow new brain cells and takes care of existing brain cells to basically allow us to learn better. And it's affecting our BDNF production. We're not. It's affecting our concentration. More kids are dealing with mental health than ever before, and you think that just happened out of nowhere? Like we think that, oh, I'm going on with these video games because I like this, or I'm doing this or I'm doing that because it makes me feel good. When in reality, it's contributing to more depression and anxiety in teens. It's contributing to us, dealing with more mental issues, not being able to control our emotions, mood disorders, like so many different problems, even, affecting our sleep quality, right? EMFs and, blue light exposure. How like we mentioned sleep, actually, if we go on our phone right before we go to sleep, it completely destroys the quality of our sleep. We think that we're getting 8, 10 hours, when in reality it's like we got 2 hours of quality sleep. And so all of this, nobody's teaching us any of this. And
And
if we
what is
continue to go like this, it's going to get worse and worse and worse.
like how is this like setting them up for life is the question, right? And people have argued that perhaps, oh, there's better diagnostic tools out there that it's what would you respond to that comment? As far as diagnosing ADHD, and everyone seems to be pretty much on the spectrum now as far as autism goes. So there are definitely, more people being diagnosed for sure. However, obviously, I'm in agreement with you. There's more going on than that. Would you agree with that?
I would 100% agree with that. Because, first of all, why are we waiting for us to then develop autism, then develop ADHD, and for more kids to be on the spectrum when we should start today to try to reverse that? Why are we accepting it? I remember, a lot of people, they said, oh yeah, no, I have sinus issues, I have eczema, I have this, or I have like these terrible headaches. I'm like, or I have stress, I'm kind of chronic stress. I'm like, why? That's not normal. And
But
he's like,
they're
no, but
missing
everybody
it.
has it. I was like,
Oh my
no.
God.
we shouldn't be normalizing this kind of stuff because if we continue to normalize it, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. It's never going to fix the problem. We're just bandaging it up, and if we continue to bandage up, the band-aid approach is never going to work. We can't just stick our heads in the sand, like, and pretend like it's all going to magically go away one day. No, it's going to continue to get worse and worse and worse unless we have this, this rebellion evolution. And that's why we need to start, defying, the system. Start thinking for ourselves again. Start making our own decisions. Start educating ourselves. Start trying to live the very best life that we can, reaching our true potential as, teens, as into adulthood, so that we can achieve even greater things into our life. And if we just accept, oh, the world is getting sicker, nothing we can do about it, then at that point, we can't give up on ourselves because of the environment, because of how these industries have created the world. These social media, we think that, oh, that the social media thing just happens, that the social media connection with mental health, oh, it's just a thing, that just happens. But
Right.
yeah, they've designed it to be like that. Why are we not standing up saying, why are we just letting them dictate what we are visually consuming? How they dictate whether, like, they make us feel like, I remember in school, a team, like, they came up to me, they're like, we can't put down our phones, we can't stop social media because we need to be on social media. We need to know we need to know what's going on with my friends and what's going on in the world. We need to know what, this person is doing or that person is doing. Like, we feel left out if we're not on social media. I'm like, that's because they're making you feel like that. We don't have social media and we feel, more connected with the world than ever before. And that's
I love it because this is the question with the social media and tech. So when the teenagers are spending all this time, and even younger kids, obviously, of course, spending all their time on the technology, what is it that they are not getting?
first of all, it's
Being
destroying our
human
brain.
connection, nature, right? I mean, are you kidding?
Yeah, like I remember some kids basically they said, "Oh yeah, we basically don't go outside because we're basically just playing on our computers all day long." I'm like, "Why?" But it's like, "Oh yeah," and so because we're just on our devices, then it's I looked at as abnormal to go outside and to spend half an hour. Like it's become physically hard for kids to do to stop going on their devices. It's become an addiction. And it's an addiction that's going to continue to destroy our brains. And what people can do, what our mom did, was at least go outside into nature, go hug a tree. What my mom used to tell us, go and just like take a deep breath outside at least 30 minutes a week. And it's not that hard. To start going, get up, go on a walk, go on a run, go get some movement, go do some push-ups. Like, just get your body moving. And because if we don't get our body moving, then our mental health is going to struggle, our physical health is going to struggle, or we're going to continue to deteriorate. I remember when we were doing research into nature, like spending time in nature, getting outside nature improves that physical, mental, social, and even spiritual health. We ask what are teens missing nowadays? It's the fact that we're not getting outside as we used to. It's because that we're just stuck indoors all day, on our technology, on our devices, and it's taking a huge toll on our mental health. It's taking a huge toll on our physical health. Obesity and, diabetes and, chronic diseases on the rise like never before. Mental health issues on the rise like never before. And it's so much because we're not getting outside and we're just, staying inside all the time.
And also, the people in your life, like your social connections. So tell me about yourself and your own experience with just your own social network with people your age, but your family, and what that looks like for you, because I am just guessing it's quite different than most teenagers.
I mean, it's really not that different. I just choose better friends. Cause I was like, but like, it's, I remember, there's just like one quote I heard that if you spend time with smokers, you come out ending up like smoke, smelling the smoke. And it's the same thing with our brain. We think that we want to spend time with these bad people, but actually when we spend time with people who have bad habits, then actually our brain unconsciously starts to also develop those bad habits. So when I learned that, I was like, okay, I love these people, but it's probably best if I, spend time with people who are going to only bring me up and not pull me down. Because I've had bad friends. And, like, my mom used to always tell me, she used to always tell me, don't ever, sacrifice yourself for somebody else, right? Don't ever let somebody just pull you down. Even if you think that they're your friend, don't be that, don't, because some people, fake friends out there, there's so many, that they're just gonna, they only want to see you fail, basically. And they just, what we say in the book is obviously choose your friends wisely. And at the same time, I'm able to be a better friend for my friends because I'm able to take care of my body better. I'm able to then educate them, and they're able to, we're able to learn from each other, and they're able to learn from me. And they're basically like, as I'm able to role model how they can live better lives. I mean, like, honestly, it's almost better than most friendships because when I also choose people who also have brains that think better and my brain is thinking better and we are, we're able to be more mature. We don't go around like other teens, just doing idiotic stuff because people say, oh, that's the boys, teenage boys just do idiotic
The
stuff. Well,
teenage brain and
yeah,
boy, they do stupid shit.
but if we're able to actually take care of our brains, like that
Okay.
doesn't have to be the case. And so
Well,
that's
bravo
what,
to you and your mother for doing all these things. It is amazing. So as we are getting near the end here, this has gone so fast, our conversation, honestly. If you were to give, I want to make it simple, but like three of your top tips, like if you could just say three things to parents or teenagers, what they could do to really incorporate the revolution, which that is an acronym, which each one of them is something that you need to do, but I feel like it's too long for this. We need three.
three. Yeah, perfect, simple,
Pick
easy.
three. Start
So
there, and then we'll get to the other letters.
So number one thing we didn't touch on, which usually we love to touch on, but gratitude, 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 gratitude. I remember one of the things I've been doing since I first started doing this was every single day when you wake up, say at least 10 things that you're grateful for, and if you can't say 10, say three. If you can't even say three, start with at least one. One thing
Yes.
to be grateful for. And gratitude has been shown to switch your subconscious from negative to positive. Our subconscious, navigates over 90% of our thoughts and actions. So then, switching that subconscious and fixing it up and basically bringing it up to that more positive self. Because as teens, the reason I bring up gratitude is because we are the most negative people I've ever met in my life. I hate school. I hate my homework. I hate this. I hate that. Like, it's not that bad. And if we're able to switch our mindset and switch our mentality, we can go so far in life and we can achieve so many things. So every single day, wake up and just at least say one thing or three things that you're grateful for. So I think that'd be my first tip. And it's so easy. It's free. It's easy. Anybody can do it. It takes like 2 seconds.
I
So
love it.
and I think my second tip for parents, please, when you listen to your teens, listen to learn. Don't listen to reply. Because
I love that.
I noticed with all my friends that, oh, they're always complaining. Oh, my parents, I try to tell them something and then they try to impose what they want on top of me. Or I can't talk to my parents. I don't feel comfortable talking to my parents. And it's because when teens talk to parents, the parents, they listen to give advice back. But sometimes we just need someone to listen to us. Sometimes we just need someone to be there for us. And as much as, we know you love to help, sometimes we just need you to listen to what's going on in our life. And I think that if more parents start to do that, if more parents listen to learn and not just listen to, oh, I'm going to tell you what I think, then so many the mental health of teens could dramatically improve. The relationship between teens and parents could dramatically improve, and if that can happen, and there's stronger family connections, then there's a stronger community when that can build a more resilient teen, a teen that's able to actually take charge of themselves, a stronger teen. And I think every single parent, I know they complain about teens a lot. I know they complain about us a lot, but there is hope that teens and parents can finally at least be somewhat, a teen can at least talk to their parents sometimes, and that's what for parents, and that's probably one of the best things I can tell parents that I've noticed as a teen. And number three, for teens and probably and adults, please try to get at least 8 hours of sleep every single day. I know it's hard for some people that they, oh, but like I have a test in the morning, so I'm gonna like, stay up until 1, 2 a.m. and then do the test because I need to study. When in reality, actually, if we get 8 hours of sleep, we're gonna be able to, we're gonna able to, be so much better and work and do so much better academically, physically, mentally, emotionally. We're gonna be able to do so much more things throughout that day because we have the energy. And most teens and probably adults, we kind of suck at getting our sleep. And once we're able to get our sleep, our body is able to then, it's like a natural way for our body to heal itself. It's a way for our body to kind of put ourselves back into balance. And right now we need that. And we also need to focus on getting that quality sleep. Like I mentioned, not even eating an hour or two before going to bed, not going on your phone, putting your phone across the room, not checking the notifications for parents especially, not going on because you're like, oh, now I know my mom used to tell me, she's like, I remember I used to always go on my phone because I used to always think now that it's 12 o'clock or 11 o'clock, I have free time. And just going on their phone for 2, 3, 4 hours and then
Oh
going to
my
sleep, that's
goodness.
not going to help you. That's actually going to destroy your body even more.
Yeah, to
So
me, there's nothing more important than my beauty sleep, man.
exactly. And that's why I think if teens and adults can do those three things, imagine where the world could go and where society can happen. And that's
Uh,
why I think those are the most
I
important things
I
anybody
love
can
it.
do.
And I would add one other thing that I'm sure this is huge for you, but we didn't
Yes.
mention it. And you know what it is? Eating meals together.
Yes.
Because that has gone totally by the wayside. And just to share, I mean, I was a single parent working full time, and we ate dinner together and we did brunch together. And even if sometimes it was only for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, to me, this is like huge.
And also, when you eat together, please put down your phone. I
Oh
know
yeah, no
families,
phones. No
no
phones
phones
at
at
the
the table. That's our rule.
table.
No phones at the table. No
No
technology
phones
at the
at the
table.
table.
For
Yeah,
adults and kids.
so I work with the adults and sometimes people in their 20s, but that one thing is it's really disappeared, which is the family dinner. And sometimes it's the only time you connect with your child. And to me, if that came back, if the parents could make that come back, who I am speaking to me that would be the biggest transformation in the long term health of your children.
I 100% agree with you because I mean, like I remember as well. There's a study that came out. I remember my seeing like a movie scene basically, and it was a movie, but it kind of reflected what was happening in real life, where the kids are on their phones and they're on their iPads and they're eating dinner together, and the parents are also on their phones, and
But it,
so like
this is
how
really happening,
yeah,
man.
this is what's happening in real life, and
This is
what
really happening.
and it's crazy because actually eating together, studies have found that it's connected with overall happiness, overall emotional well-being, better social connections, better thinking brains, and more and teens that are able to actually think better and feel better and control their emotions better. And yet, I feel like not as many people are doing it nowadays. And I know we do it. Our mom says, okay, every single day we need to at least have family dinner. We cannot compromise on the family dinner.
No, well, that's how I was. It was sometimes 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, which is not optimal, but to me it was so important that we eat together. And I know again from, doing this for a living, it really impacts the kids. Eating by themselves in their room and getting their own food. I mean, it's cuckoo.
It's
I
crazy.
mean, even okay, getting the healthy food aside, but even if they did takeout, but they're eating together,
It's still amazing.
it's still amazing. I
And
agree. Well, I'm glad we ended on that and we are in agreement, but I so enjoyed having you on, and I really look forward to watching what's going to happen because you guys are a unique voice in an area that is just so well needed.
well,
So,
thank you so much. It's really been my pleasure, and it's been amazing talking to you. It's really been my pleasure. So I can't thank you enough.
okay. Thank you. We'll maybe do it again sometime.
That'd be amazing. Bye bye.